He had everything. A career others prayed for. An apartment on the 14th floor with a view of the city lights. A phone that never stopped buzzing with people who needed him. And every single night, he sat in the silence of that apartment, and felt completely, utterly empty. His name was Josh. 29 years old. By every measure the world had given him, he had won. But winning felt like nothing. He stopped enjoying food. Stopped calling his mother back. Started waking up at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling, running calculations in his head that never balanced. More money. More achievement. More validation. And still, nothing filled the space inside his chest. A colleague told him about an old man. Not a therapist. Not a coach. Just an old man who lived 3 hours outside the city in a village most maps had forgotten. People who visited him came back different. Not louder. Not more motivated. Just, quieter. Like something heavy had been set down. Josh didn't believe in things like that. But he had tried everything else. So one Saturday morning, he got in his car and drove. Stay with me if you've ever achieved something great, and still felt empty inside. Because what the old man does next, is something Josh never expected. Subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story like this one. Now, let's get into it. The road narrowed the further Josh drove from the city. The highway became a 2-lane road. The 2-lane road became gravel. The gravel became a dirt path cutting through tall grass and old trees whose branches touched overhead like hands folded in prayer. He almost turned back twice. When he finally arrived, the village was smaller than he imagined. A cluster of simple homes. A woman hanging laundry. Children chasing a dog between the houses. A market with 3 stalls. Nobody looked at their phones. He asked a young boy where the old man lived. The boy pointed toward the far edge of the village, where a small stone house sat beside a garden so full and green it looked deliberate, like someone had been tending it for decades with great patience. Josh walked to the house and found the old man sitting on a wooden bench outside, eyes open, watching nothing in particular. He was perhaps 70. Perhaps older. His hands rested on his knees. His face held the kind of stillness that made Josh feel loud just standing there. Josh introduced himself. Explained why he had come. Told the old man about the career, the apartment, the success, the emptiness. He spoke for several minutes without stopping, the way a man speaks when he has been holding something in for too long. The old man listened without moving. When Josh finished, there was a long silence. Then the old man stood, slowly, and said, "Come." He led Josh into the garden. He walked to a corner where a small wooden stool sat facing a stone wall covered in moss. He gestured for Josh to sit. Josh sat. The old man said nothing. He returned to his bench and closed his eyes. Josh waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. He looked around the garden. He studied the moss on the wall. He noticed a beetle. Moving slowly across a stone. He heard birds he couldn't name. He felt the sun shift slightly on his face. He waited for instruction. For wisdom. For a framework or a revelation or at least a question. Nothing came. After 30 minutes, Josh stood and walked back to the old man. "I don't understand," he said, trying to keep the frustration from his voice. "You didn't say anything. You didn't give me anything." The old man opened his eyes. "How do you feel right now?" he asked. Josh opened his mouth to say frustrated, and stopped. Because the honest answer was different. For the first time in months, the calculations in his head had gone quiet. The 3 a.m. arithmetic of more, it was gone. He had spent 30 minutes doing nothing, expecting nothing, receiving nothing, and somewhere inside that nothing, something had nodded. "Quieter," Josh said slowly. "I feel quieter." The old man nodded once. "You came here full," he said. "Full of noise. Full of needing. Full of measuring yourself against a number that keeps moving. A full cup cannot receive anything. So I gave you nothing, because nothing was the only thing that could get in." Josh stood very still. "The emptiness you feel at night," the old man continued, "is not a problem to be solved. It is a door. But you have been so busy trying to fill it, with achievement, with noise, with the next thing, that you have never once walked through it." He looked at Josh calmly. "Sit with empty. Stop running from it. The peace you are looking for is not on the other side of more. It is on the other side of still." Josh drove home that evening without music. He didn't open his laptop when he got back to the apartment. He sat in the same silence that had always frightened him, and this time, he let it breathe. It took weeks. Then months. Slowly, the 3 a.m. arithmetic softened. He started calling his mother back. He started tasting food again. He started arriving at his own life. Not the performance of it, but the actual texture of it, the warmth and the smallness and the enough of it. He never went back to the village. He didn't need to. The old man had given him nothing. And it was everything he had been looking for. Some people spend their whole lives trying to fill a space that was never meant to be filled, only entered. Peace is not a reward for achievement. It is what remains when you finally stop running from yourself. If this story found you today, maybe it is because you needed permission to be still. You have it. Now use it. Peace is not a reward for achievement. It is what remains when you stop running from yourself. If you stayed till the end, you already know this was worth it. Like, subscribe, and never miss what comes next. Thank you for supporting this channel.